Good morning, friends, and today we're going to discuss about some of the dushthanas or the bad houses in a chart, the 6th, 8th, and 12th, and we're going to begin with the 12th house today. And in my readings, and also you may find this as a sutra or some kind of a dictum at many sites, many places, that 12th house is often denoted, or you can say often, it often controls losses in a person's chart. So today we're going to basically see some sample charts, examples, and see how the 12th lord and losses are actually connected, and see how we can decipher it in different charts. But before that, uh, let's move on to some of the 12th lord karakatvas, basically the portfolio of activities that the 12th house typically has. And some of them are basically charity, donation, expenses, losses, exits, hospitals, and dissolution. And many times you will find that people who are heavily under the influence of 12th house may have to relocate to a different country, especially when it's Dasha comes. It can even show, so if you look at the refugee crisis when it was in Syria some time back, now you see it in Afghanistan, you'll see somehow the 12th house has become active, because that kind of denotes emigration from one place to another. So whenever you see mass refugees, or you can say refugee camps, basically coming up somewhere, the 12th house is somewhere active. Uh, so 12th house is typically said to be the house of losses, but then losses, I mean exits is a better word for the 12th house rather than losses, because it's some so 12, so if first house is the beginning, 12th house is the ending, and 12th house can also denote some kind of charity, donation, or something that you need to give for things to get completed. And it can also show, just like the first house is the house of uh, creation, or first house of something new happening, 12th house is the house of something ending or something exiting out of your life. So say if there is a third lord mahadasha going on, or a antardasha of planet sitting in third house, since it is 12th to the uh, fourth, you can see exits from a house, so a change of place or something like that can happen. Also 12th house also shows expenses, which could be in hospitalization or some kind of confinement, or some kind of a place where basically you are now unreachable, you're not reachable. It also shows one's imagination and any kind of creative work which happens from a world which you cannot see. So the region beyond, behind your eyes, which you cannot see, the invisible world, that is what 12th house stands for. So before we confuse ourselves further, because the 12th house portfolio extends to many things, let's just move to today's lesson, which is, when we say 12th house is the house of losses, loss of what? So what will be lost? So two of the things which I have seen very consistently happening is, wherever the 12th house lord goes, there will be some loss with respect to the house uh, where the 12th house lord has gone. So say if the 12th house lord has gone to the 4th house, you may have some kind of a loss of property or house, and or there could be some loss coming to the mother, or there could be some kind of you can say expenditure happening on your for your mother, or for your house, or for your home in particular. And depending on the karakatva of the planet which is sitting in the 12th house, this portfolio of activities can change. Apart from this, not only will you have a loss in the house where the 12th lord is going, the Rashi, or you can say the zodiac sign, which is prevalent where which exists where the 12th house lord is gone, you will see a loss happening there as well. So say if 12th house lord has gone to a Rashi of Cancer, and say it may be the 7th house, then you could be having some kind of loss with respect to uh, a house, a home, a vehicle, some loss with respect to your sukhasthan, some loss of peace of mind, and it could be somehow be involved with respect to your open enemies, which is the 7th house, even your spouse, or some of your business partners. Some loss would be expected there. But then 12th lord in Cancer in 7th house typically shows you could have some loss with respect to um, some vehicle, a new piece of land, something like that. So what we're going to do basically now is how I have applied this technique to some of these charts, and go through some of the charts where I applied this principle, and I was able to basically do some very quick predictions which turned out to be true. Basically, you can use these to make the client feel very comfortable that he has come to the right place and stuff like that. That way, you will not waste around um, the client's time convincing him or making him feel comfortable. So let's go to the sample chart. So here was a chart which I got, I think, probably a year back, which was probably last year November. And here there is a combination of the 12th lord, which is Venus in this case, coming to the 10th house. As you can see, there's a Venus Jupiter Sun combination here. And so two things which you can basically see. 12th lord Venus coming to the 10th house. Some loss in profession can be expected. And what that typically translates into, when 12th lord and 10th lord are kind of combined, you can actually see a person doing very independent kind of work. The person may be a freelancer, the person may even be a uh, maybe somebody who's basically doing very creative kind of work, because 12th house is the house of creativity, imagination, what you cannot see, what exists beyond the realm of the real world that you're trying to see. So when 12th lord comes to 10th, oftentimes I've seen it also denotes loss. It dissolves something, it will make something exit from your life. So 12th lord and 10th, it typically shows somebody who could have had an exit in their life, from their workplace, from their profession, or their office shut down, or there was a lockdown or something, and basically the office premises was sealed and they had to leave the premises, something like that. Also, if you look at the if you remember the hint in the previous slide, it also shows loss of the Rashi or the zodiac sign, which is where the 12th house is placed, Lord is placed. So in this case, Venus is actually sitting in the sign of Leo, and Leo could actually show somebody, someone's education, someone's speculation. It could also show uh, somebody having true love, for whom you are willing to basically, sacrifice yourself, or you made a lot of sacrifices. So so Sun Venus combination here, in this case, typically showed to me that the person most probably has had some kind of intermingling of love affair, workplace, rank, position, which Sun denotes, because Sun itself is also sitting in the 10th house in Leo. And there could be, and because Sun and Jupiter typically they show, so Sun is the captain, Sun is the king, Sun is basically the leader, and Jupiter is the boss, somebody who's advising you, who's managing you, or somebody who's elderly, senior to you, who's basically trying to guide you. So 12th lord sitting with Sun and Jupiter, it would bring losses on these two fronts as well. So Jupiter being the second and fifth lord, some financial loss, or loss of some kind of so Jupiter here is again the fifth lord, and sitting in the 10th house with the 12th lord, so which doubly confirms some kind of a love affair or some kind of romantic affair actually could get lost. There could be some money loss as well, because Jupiter is the second lord, but Rahu over there may actually help the native get back on their feet. Um, apart from that, Jupiter also shows some kind of a person who's a boss, or um, somebody who's actually guiding you. So such a person could also exit from your life. Now, when I got this chart, even before I started interpreting the chart, I have this tendency that the moment I get a chart for reading, I try to predict before the person starts asking questions based on the email that they have sent. And so the first time I get an email, I try to answer that, okay, is this your problem, so that I'm able to define my technique and figure out what techniques work. Many times they work, many times sometimes they also do not work. So this is the WhatsApp chat where basically I said that, okay, is this the problem that you're having? So the first, if you see the first section, that was based on some of the transits that I was seeing, and the second one was basically based on this 12th house principle. So if you see, I try to predict that, okay, somehow work life and emotional life, and they are kind of connected, and some loss has been experienced on those lines. So later on, this person did tell me that she had a job, she was trying to get married, but the person actually backed off, suddenly left the office. She was the reason why she had joined the workplace, the office, was because the very person that she loved had actually joined along with her, and both of them had planned to get married, had planned to get along with their with the job, and they had a boss who actually knew about it and was supporting them. Uh, on those lines. The moment this native had a Sun Venus Antardasha, uh, she had a loss of the love affair because the person simply exited. He left the office, he resigned, stopped responding back, and whatever communication that was there between her and her the other person, basically the communication stopped happening. She The very person who was her boss, who was trying to advise her, she exited that relationship as well, saying that okay, I'm not interested in the job anymore. And within, I think, 7 or 10 days, she left that job as well. And she was sitting at a pretty good position, and the boss was supporting her. So as you can see, Jupiter and Sun are together. Typically, whenever you have Jupiter and Sun together, you will see that your boss will be very supportive of you. The boss will give you powers. There'll be somebody elderly who will basically make sure that you are lucky enough to basically be able to call the shots that you want to, which is what she had. And suddenly she exited when her Sun Venus started. And and after that, she actually consulted me somewhere in November last year. I think this event happened last year, July. So a 12th house result, which you can actually see happening. I'll go through a few more charts so that you can actually get a flavor of how this principle works. A very simple principle, but can help you get some very stunning predictions. So next one, here is a chart of somebody who has a 12th lord in 5th. Now, this person had a Venus Mahadasha starting, I think, 2 or 3 years back. And every astrologer was telling him that, okay, you're going to have a great married life, you're going to have a lot of wealth coming to you, you're going to have fame, you're going to have power, position, blah, blah, blah. And Venus Rahu conjunction together in Libra, you're going to make tons of money. Why? Because Libra is the sign of riches, and Libra in the 5th house, that means you're going to get some kind of a power, some kind of position, authority, where basically from where you'll be able to command a lot of riches. But then you have to look at the other house of Venus also, which is the 12th house, and 12th house normally brings losses. So this person suddenly, the moment Venus Mahadasha started, actually even before Venus Mahadasha had started, during the Mercury Ketu Antardasha, he and his wife had actually split off. And most astrologers were saying that okay, when Venus Mahadasha would start, you would be able to get back with your spouse, and things will work out fine. And because Venus is all about harmony, relationships, love, a spouse coming in, and all that. But that didn't happen. Instead, what happened? Look at the 12th lord, Venus. It's come to the 5th house. This person lost the respect that he had amongst his clients. So Libra is the marketplace, and when you basically lose respect in the marketplace because of some of the deals which you bring to the table which do not work out fine, or people just stop giving you that kind of respect or power, authority, that can happen with this kind of a 12th lord sitting in 5th house. So if you look at the house, the 5th house, this person actually lost his child. Why? Because he had a divorce. He had a separation, a legal separation, one that was mutual, but there was there were many hard feelings also in between. But somehow it happened swiftly, because Venus, being the 12th lord, is now going to basically cause harm to the 5th house and the 7th Rashi. What does it do? It basically broke the marriage. The person lost the child, which is a 5th house thing, as you can see, and marriage was also lost, which is a 7th house thing, which is because of the sign Libra being there. And this person also had joined a job where he was trying to work. He was given a good position as a sales head, sales rep, but within 3 to 4 months lost that position as well. And the exit was very unceremonious, in the sense there was a loss of respect in that particular job. So all is not hunky-dory happy, but with the 5th lord being in 5th, if it is ruling one of the dushthanas. So here the 12th lord principle applied very nicely. Let's move on to the next chart so that now you can see how this 12th lord thing works in different flavors. Now here's a 12th lord again in 5th, but then the results here are different. He's a person who basically manages, I think, a few hundred crores worth of funds, has very big clients who basically come and deposit money with them so that they can do portfolio management. Now, he himself, as a person, has extensive experience trading. But then one of the predictions I gave to him was, one of the questions he asked me was, should I trade? And I said, the moment you trade, since your 12th lord is in 5th, I don't think you would make money. You're going to have losses. So you would trade based on some dream or some information or message that will come to you in your subconscious because of 12th lord. which you will probably write down on a paper, because Mercury is also the third lord, and then you will try to trade based on that, and normally it would bring you losses. I mean, net, I don't think you're going to make any profit. So he very candidly admitted that yes, he has been losing money most of the times, even though he knows what the right trade would be. Somehow when he executes it in the uh, in the heat of the moment, somehow the right trades don't happen. But then, even though he loses a lot of money, the learning he gets on the table because of the trading, he actually advises a lot of his clients as to what positions they should take, and that's where he ends up making more money. His clients end up making more money, because of which he's able to make money. But on his own, when he trades with his own money, he has a loss. Now, another thing which basically I asked him, so when he asked me the question that should I trade, and I said, you first tell me this: have you had a loss of inheritance because of some paperwork being lost, or because of some siblings? Why? Because Mercury is the 12th lord, so, and Gemini being a 12th house, the person tends to lose one's paperwork, or tends to forget what papers to sign. And that coming in 5th house of Scorpio, which is the 8th Rashi, the house of inheritances. He said that, okay, I have not had any inheritance. In fact, I have had to give money from my own pocket so that the very paperwork could be done, and by his siblings and by his father. So I said, look, if you have not been able to make money out of your inheritance, that's one of the negative results of the 12th lord sitting in Scorpio. The other thing is 12th lord sitting in 5th house, you may not be able to make money through trading. I think mostly you're going to have losses. So it's better if you go ahead and donate stuff for education of kids, because this Mercury is going to come and basically ask you for some donation charity that you will have to make. If you don't do that, the donation charity needs to be for children or kids, because, or for siblings, because Mercury is the karak for all of them. If you don't do that, it's going to come in your 5th house, and basically ask for something back from you, give you some kind of loss over there. So if you don't do the charity donation for kids, it's going to basically ask you to come, and basically it's going to give you losses in trades. So it at the spur of the moment, I just asked him, why don't you basically donate money for education of your kids, of your employees, or for, say, some schools around you. He was more than happy doing that, and said that I had been thinking about it, but somehow I just didn't get a chance. So he asked me, could I donate some old laptops, or could I donate some tabs for the education, because money for them is not that huge problem. So I said, fine, perfectly fine, because Mercury is again the 12th lord, and Gemini sits over there. So if you donate any device through which you can read, that's good enough. Laptops are good enough. So